Warning: the following podcast show that you're about to listen to will include explicit language and content in which you, the members of the audience, may find offensive. Audience discretion is advised.
Welcome to another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience.
Yeah, boy.
Where anything and everything is a subject matter on the show, and no subject matter is ever taboo.
Damn, that's what's up with you.
And now, your host with the most, Mr. Kim Hoang. Bro, am I getting paid for this?
Yo, hello, what's going on, everybody? I'm glad that you're here. This is your boy Kim Hoang, the Asian sensation, and we're here on another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, coming at you live all the way over in the Prototype Studio over in Wheaton, Maryland, which is not far from the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And man, you know, we're here in the booth, in here, just doing what we're doing. We're having fun. We're having fun, and we're having a good time. We're having a good time, and this is a good moment. This is a good moment. Every time and any time that I am here, you know, just making a recording and doing an episode and creating content for the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, I feel at ease, I feel at peace, and I feel happy, you know, because I'm just doing something that I love to do. You know, I love doing this. And it matters to me, and it matters that what I bring on the tables for you guys, my presentation, that it's just good for you, and that you like it, you enjoy it, you respect it, and so much more. So much more. And I guess that's why I'm still doing it, for you know, that, and just because, you know, again, it makes me happy, and I'm glad to be here, you know, without a shadow of a doubt. I actually got a cup of coffee early this morning with Hector. We actually met up over at the local Starbucks near where I live. And the one thing that we did discuss was the fact that, and I know I said this in the last episode, but it bears repeating. Man, it's really starting to feel like fall. You know, because I woke up this morning and it was cold. And, you know, not just any type of cold, but like the typical like fall weather cold. Like there's no Indian summer where like during October it's going to be 90 degrees or something like that. No, it was straight up cold. And I knew when I went outside initially to feel it, I was like, okay, now it's the time that I got to wear athletic leggings from Under Armour as well as my jeans, and to wear like my long sleeve shirts. You know, I'm wearing two of them. One of it being an Under Armour base, and the other one is my long sleeve Hurley shirt. So it's you know, I now know and acknowledge the fact that it is here. You know, the times are now changing. You know, not like it never stood still, but it's going fast. So I definitely get it, and I appreciate it. And just the ride up here over to the Prototype Studio this morning, you know, I just thought to myself, man, I am in a lucky position. Because soon enough, when this year is over for 2024, we are going to go into 2025. It will be 5 years that the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience has gone on the airwaves on the internet. And, you know, I just want to thank everybody real quick that has been with us since day one, that has liked our podcast, that has subscribed to our podcast, that has given our podcast a chance and an opportunity. You guys are incredible. I cannot thank you enough. And it's a blessing. It is a blessing to do what I do, you know. So thank you. Wow. You know, we're going to go ahead and do this episode. Obviously, it's going to be a good one. We're going to start off, basically it's going to go off like this. It's all going to be revolving around acting, in terms of like, people that are in acting, a project that is definitely in the works, and I would definitely reveal that a little bit later on in the show. And of course, our very famous Q&A. But I am going to start out with something a little bit unfortunate. Now, I know a lot of times that, people are saying, Kim, I don't know about this negativity stuff. And it's not like I talk about negative stuff on purpose. I don't. But this is just something that was like a sad news that I found out recently. And when I found out about it, I was very, very shocked. I was like, dude, no way. And, it's sad. It's really sad because I knew the person. I really did. And the fact that, when I heard the news, I was like, no way. There's no way that this happened. And I'm shocked. I'm still shocked to this day. You know what I mean? So the fact that it happened, it's like, holy crap. For those that are in, the local acting scene here in the DMV, Washington, D.C., Maryland, and Northern Virginia, we had lost a good one. And that film director, local actor, Coleman, had recently passed away. When I heard about that, I was just in shock. Complete shock. Because the thing about it is that, I had just seen maybe like Zarr post something, earlier in the previous month. And I found out about Coleman's passing through social media. Matter of fact, actor Liam Beckworth wrote something about that. He had posted it on his Facebook about Zarr's passing. And to be honest with you, when I read it, I was a little bit surprised. I was shocked. I thought that I read it wrong. And I thought that what Lion said was that, maybe it was somebody that was like a friend of Zarr's that he also knew. Or it was one of Zarr's family members that passed away that he probably was close to. But as soon as I saw Lion's post, there was a lot of people that also dropped a lot of posts about that too, saying that Zarr passed away. And I was really shocked. I was very, very surprised. Now, for those that don't know, Zarr was based out of the Prince George's County's area of the state of Maryland. He is a 22-time multi-award-winning international indie filmmaker, who's been in the game for about 18 years. He's a filmmaker, a cinematographer, an author, a TV host, vocalist, and a shoe designer. And he's also a motivational speaker in the film industry, teaching masterclasses. He's been in a lot of movies locally as an actor. He's also been a director as well. And he's also been a producer. And he's done a lot. Now, a lot of people are wondering why or how, his, passing happened. And to be honest with you, I don't even know. that piece of information was not revealed, and not like it really needed to be revealed. And I do remember Zarr. Years ago, I met Zarr through the acting industry. And I always had a lot of respect for Zarr because Zarr, he was one of those guys that was a very hard-working individual. He was very passionate about acting. He was passionate about making, local films and so forth. But I got a chance to know him through, there's like an awards ceremony that happens every year for acting called the WMIFF. And for those that don't know that acronym, the WMIFF is basically it's basically an award ceremony, which means it is the World Music and Independent Film Festival based out of Washington, D.C. that is headed by June DeGuizzo. And I met him through the WMIFF award. Like I used to go to that award ceremony a lot. And it was pretty cool to see him there. It was great. I was fortunate enough to spend some time with Zarr, and the fact that the man, when you talk to him, he was so passionate, and he was just so hungry. He wanted to bring the DMV and their actors on the map, and he wanted to create great movies, whether if it was short or like a full length. He wanted to do everything. He wanted to dip his hands in a lot of pots, when it came to the movie making business, to that industry. And to his credit, he really did a good job because as an actor, he acted in a lot of projects. Some projects that didn't even make it out on like it was made, the movie was made, but we never really saw it like on Amazon Prime Video or YouTube or whatever, you know what I mean? We never saw it, and that was unfortunate. I know that Zarr also directed a lot of movies. Matter of fact, he directed about 19 of them. And I have to tip my hat off to Zarr because, there are many people out there that, are one or the other. They're either an actor or they're a director. There are very few that are actually both, and that can do it at the same time. And, going back, I always thought Zarr was a very nice person. We had a lot of respect for each other. I always thought that he was a person that had a lot of great positivity. And I always thought that Zarr was very good at uplifting people. There had been times that I had auditioned for a couple of roles in certain projects that we were trying to get involved in together. Some in which that he was even directing. But when I didn't make it, it was one of those things that Zarr made it a point to get with me and to contact me. And just to say congratulations, you did a good job. Unfortunately, what you were putting out there wasn't the vision that the producers had in mind. But I thought that you had potential. And if you would have made it, it would have been an honor to have you be in this project that I'm directing. And I hope that somewhere down the line that you will be in a movie that I'm going to be directing. And when I heard that, I thanked Zarr. I said, Zarr, I really appreciate that, my brother. I really do. It's very hard because in the world of acting, whether if it's the local industry here or any local industry of acting anywhere else, or even in the big time, there is a lot of competition. There are a lot of competition out there in the world, and it's no secret that anybody, when you compete for a role, you basically will do anything and everything for it, and in a good way. I'm not talking about in a negative way, but in a good way, to stake your claim at it and to do whatever you can. And I remember Zarr, one time basically told me that, brother, you just got to keep doing what you're doing. Don't worry about the BS of what others do. You do what you do, because chances are that's what the director would want, is for you to be yourself and to be genuine. If you're trying to do something else that you're normally don't do, it's going to be a very bad situation, because then you're not being authentic. You're better off just to really just do what you do best, and to just basically do what you're known for. And I knew that, and I was like, okay, I totally get it. That's definitely cool, and I appreciate that. That's awesome. I'm okay with it. Hopefully, and I mean hopefully, that Zarr's legacy will carry on in the local acting industry and just in general in life. And if I had to say something right now, I'd probably say something like, Zarr, thank you so much, sir, for believing in me, for supporting me, and thinking that I was worth something. It's really tough, especially in in this industry, because there are some people, unfortunately, in this industry that may not support you, and that behind closed doors would kind of be like a snake in the grass, and kind of stake you in the on the stomach or on the chest or whatever. But with the legacy that Zarr left, and the type of person that he is, I would like to follow in his footsteps. Just to be that positive person, that positive dude, and just to really do the right things in life, and just kind of do it the way that Zarr did it, but in my way, but with the touch of his influence. I know that the world is going to be a lesser place without him. Not only in the world of local acting and local filmmaking, but just in general as a whole. And we're going to say that, Zarr, we are going to miss you, my friend. We are going to miss you, my brother. Thank you for everything that you've done in life. Your contributions to the local film industry and supporting all of its actors, trying to get the DMV on the map. We're gonna miss you. We're gonna miss you. We're gonna go ahead and take a little bit of a break. We're gonna come right back. Round 2 is around the corner, so stay tuned, guys, because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, we're just cooking, baby, and we'll be back. Better believe it. I want to tell you about an amazing store that's really good for all musicians, music enthusiasts, and a whole lot more, which is Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center in Wheaton, Maryland. That's right, you heard it correctly. Since 1958, Chuck Levin's has been actually tearing up the game when it comes to the music scene. And guess what? Since 1958, they have been the store to go to and a must-visit destination for any serious musician passing through our nation's capital. So, if you're actually a person that's in a band looking for a new instrument, such as an electric guitar, an acoustic guitar, a bass guitar, or maybe some drums, if you're a DJ looking for like the greatest DJ equipment, such as turntables and so forth, they got you. Hey, are you actually in an orchestra playing a woodwind instrument, brass instrument, or strings? They got you. They got all the classical instruments that you need. And let's not forget, for all my fellow podcasters, need a microphone? They got you. Need a podcasting vocal track recorder? They got you. They got everything, man. And I'm telling you, it's the best place to go. So if you want to check them out, go ahead and do so, because right here at Chuck Levin's, they're the best. Forget the rest. Mess with the best. Located over at 11151 Veers Mill Road in Wheaton, Maryland. They're open Monday through Saturdays, 10 a.m. until 6 p.m. If you want to know more about what they have to offer, you can go over to chucklevins.com online or give them a buzz at area code 301-946-8808. Chuck Levin's Washington Music Center. Like I said before, don't worry about the rest. Mess with the best.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We are here over at the Prototype Studio in Wheaton, Maryland, not far from the Washington, D.C. area, basically because it is in the Washington, D.C. area. Glad that you're back with us, guys. It is amazing. It's incredible. We did take time for ourselves just to relax and to recuperate. Me personally, I was drinking some water and eating some microwave popcorn, and I was looking over at a few show notes because, you know, as of right now, round 2 has commenced. Ding ding. And I'm back in the ring and I'm going to fight. And we're still going to keep on with the theme with acting, you know, in the sense. And you know, I'm really happy at this point because I'm going to talk about something that is getting me so excited and fired up, like I can't even contain it. And you know, I don't want to sound like a fanboy or anything like that, but it's more like because I believe in the previous project and the project that's about to happen and the news I'm about to drop, you know, it's worth mentioning. And I feel like at a certain point in time, I know I'm going to say this like a broken record, and I apologize in advance if it sounds like I'm going to sound like a broken record. But you can just tell right now by just my voice and everything how excited I am. How excited I am. And, you know, it's just, you know, I can't even contain it. You know what I mean? I cannot contain it. It's like kinetic energy that's in a jar, and the energy is built up so much that you can see it, that it's about to bust through the jar. It's going to break it open because of the energy. It's that good. Oh man, it's great. And let me just get, you know, I'm going to cut to the chase right now because I feel like I'm delaying the inevitable, but this has to be mentioned. This has to be mentioned. So let me go ahead and drop the news right now that, ladies and gentlemen, I have it on good authority because I found out through Facebook, through the account of director Ramel Xavier Morales, a good friend, a good brother, a great creator, that he has said that Miscalculated Part 2 is going to happen. And I'm very excited about it. Now, let me give you a little bit of a brief history about, where it came from and how it came to be now. And I'll give you a little bit of some insight and some opinions. Back in 2021, Miscalculated Part 1, which I was proud to be one of the, cast members as an actor, came into light. 2021, it was incredible. I found about it through social media, through Facebook. They were actually holding tryouts, auditions, over in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, over at the Kicked Up Fitness gym. And it was incredible. And the fact that I got my chance to really audition for something so great and promising was, it was a no-brainer. All this during a time where the pandemic was really a big thing, because what were we thinking about during that time in the pandemic in 2020 to 2021 and et cetera, et cetera? We were talking about social distancing. We were talking about wearing masks. We were talking about, getting up to date with our COVID shots. You know what I mean? It was very important to have those COVID shots to, have our systems kind of build immunity or some kind of protection against COVID. You know what I mean? And a week later I found out that I got in. And when we were filming, I think it was during the summertime of 2021, it was a great time. We had a great time doing our thing and doing what we loved. And at least for the 2 days that I was working on it on set, the actors that I worked with were phenomenal. Great talent, great people. The crew members that were involved on, the project that I worked with on those 2 days, on point. Professional. They knew exactly what to do. I mean, you couldn't have had a better team. And the fact that 2 years later in 2023 over at the Greenbelt Theater, I was there for the premiere. There was the early matinee and then there was the red carpet. Now let me tell you something. The red carpet event, flipping dynamite. It was awesome. I mean, you couldn't have had a better event. It was along with the after party over at Perry's over in Odenton, Maryland. It was awesome. It was absolutely awesome. I loved it. And I think how we got to this point right now was that, in my opinion, there was a lot of people probably watching Miscalculated over, whether if it was on Tubi, whether if it was on, going to the world premiere. A lot of people were talking a lot of good stuff about it. They liked it. It was something that, they liked it, they gravitated towards it, and it was quite incredible. And I bet you, and again, this is just my opinion, that a lot of people were talking about it in the sense that they were saying, yo, this movie is incredible. Why can't, could there be possibly a part 2 of this? Can we see a sequel? I think it could be done. And a lot of people were talking about it. I'm pretty sure that it followed suit. To the point that I bet you that Ramel and the rest of the executive producing team, Sean Queen, Dameron Kirby, I do believe Nabil Malik, he was an executive producer in the first one. I bet all of those guys basically had a powwow. They were talking about it. And they were just impressed on how well the first one resulted, that they probably just, collected thoughts together and they were like, you know what? We should do a part 2. Why not? I think it's incredible. I think it's a great idea. And we need to make it happen. And I think that's probably what it happened. Usually, when you have when you have a movie and you have the production team and you want to talk about the possibility of getting a sequel, usually a group meeting has to take place. Now, whether or not, if the decision is a yay or a nay, that's pretty much up to them. But I'm glad that they said collectively as a unit, whether if it was unanimous or not, I don't know, because I wasn't there. But I'm glad that overall, the decision to make Miscalculated Part 2 was a go. Green light. Thumbs up. Yes. That sort of thing. Now, I've heard rumors that people were going to say that, hey, they're going to call it Miscalculated Part 2. They may call it Miscalculated Uncalculated, or they may call it Uncalculated. Whatever the name of the project is, for all intents and purposes, I'm going to call it Miscalculated 2. But either way, I'm excited about it. I think it's great. I don't care what the name is. We already know what it is. It's fantastic. You know what I mean? It's going to be awesome. Now, what the plot of it is, I don't know what the plot of Miscalculated Part 2 is. I truly don't. I don't know. And that's the thing. When you make a sequel, you're basically making a brand new story. You know what I mean? You're doing something that is a little bit more different than, the last time. For sure. Now, I don't know where it's going to go. I truly don't. However, and again, this is a however, if I'm going to go ahead and make a guess, I'm going to say that Miscalculated Part 2 is going to take place where it last left off. You have Detective Jeremy Evans, played by Dameron Kirby, and you have Detective Pierre Martin, played by Romel Xavier Morales. They just got off solving a very good crime case that was good for their careers. And in Miscalculated Part 2, what I'm thinking is that it's probably going to be a bigger, situation of a bigger crime that is going to require a lot of their knowledge, a lot of their know-how, their street savviness, and etc., etc. Now, I'm going to say this. Now, I was already in Miscalculated Part 1 as Benny Chow. And, for those that didn't know, spoiler alert, your boy, he didn't make it. Benny didn't make it. Because he was a bad guy. He was the ultimate bad guy. He was one of the main bad guys. What did you expect? But I was okay with it because I loved it. I loved the moment that I had with Dameron where we had a fight scene. It was so good. It was on point, and everything worked out exactly the way that it needed to be. And, my hat's off to Dameron because, he put that thing together. We came up with some ideas, and we made it work. We made it flow. Him having a martial arts background, a formal martial arts background, not just Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Muay Thai kickboxing, but a traditional martial arts background because he has dabbed in Taekwondo and karate. We understood what we needed to do. And we understood about timing, working angles, doing this, that, and everything. And I have nothing but love for Dameron, and I respect the work that we put in together. It was great. It was awesome. But I'm going to say this as a side piece. Hey, Romel, I know that Benny Chow got killed off, but if your boy can get back in it again, I would love to. Even if it's a different character, if I have to do a different look, or if I can be involved in it in some way, I would love to do it. Now, as of this present moment, We don't know who's going to be involved in terms of like who's going to be the cast of Miscalculated Part 2. We don't know if there is going to be a auditioning process. We don't know about that yet. But I am imagining that there will be an audition process. And when that happens, as soon as that information comes out, you'll know. I'll make sure that people know. And that's going to be that. I am also going to say that, it's going to be very interesting to see who's going to be in Miscalculated Part 2. Because it's going to be, I only imagine that it's going to be a different type of casting. It's going to be probably, different actors that was not on the previous one. At least that's my thought. Because if they want to make it a little bit different, that's probably the way that they're going to go. At least in my opinion. And all I have to say is that I'm very proud. I'm very happy and I'm very proud. 100%. Because, they're going for it again. This is something that, again, this is, it's an incredible opportunity. And anybody who's anybody, y'all understand that, being in a film, a project in general is awesome. And I think anybody who is willing to, this is going to be a great opportunity for all actors. Whether or not if you like acting in terms of the action genre, or if you're looking to kind of diversify in your acting repertoire, this would be it. Because let me tell you something, Morales Motion Pictures, Miscalculated Productions, they're a great group to work with. They really are. I mean, as regimented as they are, because they do run a disciplined ship. They don't horseplay around. They don't mess around. They don't play. They're fun to work with. But they always say, which is 100% true, they said it on the set that safety is important. And it is a must. And if you don't respect the fact that safety is important, the door is right there. Because they don't have no time for the BS. They want to work with professional people that understand what's going down, and that safety is number one, for sure. Now, the only thing left that I can say, and a lot of people are asking, is like, where do they go from here? When are they going to film it? That I don't know. I would only think that if they're not going to start this year, it only makes sense that they'll probably start in the beginning of 2025, maybe. Where they're going to film it, I'm probably thinking like, the same similar locations as before. Probably some parts in Maryland, some parts in Washington, D.C., some parts in Northern Virginia. That's it. That's it. But I'm excited for these guys. I'm excited for Romel, for Dameron, for Sean, for Nabil. And I can't wait to see what is going to happen. Everybody's always asking me, hey, what's going to happen? What's the situation? What's going to go down? You know what? I don't know. The only thing that I can say is that, you know what? You have to go ahead and just buckle on the seatbelt and be in for the ride of your life, because it's going to be incredible. I know for a fact that I want to be in that, in that voyage, and I want to see what's happening, because I can only imagine that it's going to be, it's definitely going to be a thing where it's going to be like, hey, the juice is worth the squeeze. The ride was worth the price of admission. It's going to be that type of situation. And I'll tell you this, and I'm not saying it just because, I'm a friend, but I'm a fan. I don't think that there was any movie out there that even matched up to Miscalculated in terms of the action, in terms of the comedy. It was definitely all that in a bag of chips. You can't tell me that when you saw that movie that you didn't have a good time. It wasn't, it took you to the edge of your seat. You can't tell me that. If you can tell me that that you were bored, I will call you a liar. I really would. I would go right to your face and say, you are lying and you are full of it, sir. Bottom line. But yeah, all I have to say is God bless the Miscalculated, production team and crew. Whatever it is that you do, that you guys have my 100%, support and loyalty. And I hope nothing but the best for Miscalculated Part 2. And, I can't wait. I cannot wait. Let freedom ring. Let's see what's going on. And, again, I'm so fired up, man. All right. We're going to go ahead and take a little bit of a break because, we did speak a lot on this. When we come back, round 3 of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. And you know what that means. Our Q&A session. Yes, question and answer. You ask it, we answer it. It's going to be amazing. Go do your thing, take a break, but come back. Because the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience, we're just getting started. See you in a bit. In life, we all want to have great health and excellent physical fitness. However, it's never given, only earned. That said, if you want to go to a gym that will help you to get there, then look no further than Kicked Up Fitness at National Business Parkway in Annapolis Junction, Maryland. Their mission at Kicked Up is to provide the ultimate functioning training facility that focuses solely on your success, with a diverse team that's highly qualified and dedicated to taking your fitness goals to the next level. Kicked Up also offers a variety of group classes and personal training programs that provide something for everyone, regardless of your fitness level. They believe in working hard, achieving results, all while having fun. So come visit their facility in person, which is located at 114 National Business Parkway, Suite 100 in Annapolis Junction, Maryland, 20701. Now, if you see my friend Sean Queen, who's the owner of Kicked Up, tell him that Benny Chow of Miscalculated sent you, and he'll hook you up with a complimentary 7-day pass just to try it out. Need more info? Give him a call. 410-888-9066. Email them at kufitnessnbp@gmail.com or visit them at their website at www.kufitnessnbp.com. Kicked Up Fitness. Never given, only earned.
And now, back to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience with your host, Kim Hoang.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We're glad that you're back and tuning in once again. This has been a great episode. Just an episode to create for you guys to have fun with it and to just talk and just enjoy the moments. And I just hope, honestly, that once again, that you guys, if you have been a subscriber and you like my podcast, that you continuously enjoy the content that I bring to you guys. And if this is your first time listening, we just hope that you enjoyed the ride. And there's plenty more episodes to come in the future. So don't think for a second that we're going to shut down. We're going to keep going. We're going to keep building. and it's amazing. And as always, there's a new episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience every Friday, unless, it's been explained otherwise. But other than that, though, I can't complain. I just got a text saying that we need to kind of give a little bit of a disclaimer. So here we go, which is, usually what we talk about during this portion, the final portion of the show. And it goes as the following. Everybody, the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience is asking help on a voluntary basis to anyone that would like to assist our podcast show by the ways of sponsorship and or financially donating to our podcast show to help improve the quality of our podcast so it can be better. Any proceeds or, money that we raise will go to getting more equipment, better equipment that we need, such as microphones for our in-studio guests, XLR cables for the microphones for those, microphones in need, headphones for our guests. We're even trying to save up money and raise money for a new MacBook Pro so that we can increase the quality of the episodes when we're in the editing process. Now here's the gag. Whatever you want to donate is appreciated. So example, insert gag, insert joke. If you want to donate $5 million, which I don't think anybody would donate that much, but you never know. You know what I mean? We would appreciate that. If you even want to donate as little as $5, that's fine, because every little bit helps. And once again, we would appreciate it. Once again, for you to actually give us sponsorship or donate financially to our podcast show, we do appreciate it. Again, it's on a voluntary basis. You can do it even like how many times you want. You know what I mean? So if you want to do it for a one-time donation, that's fine. If you want to donate on a monthly basis, that's cool. If you want to donate every 2 weeks or every week, that's awesome. You know what I mean? Any amount, donate it out of the kindness of your own heart. And we appreciate that. You know what I mean? That's awesome. Now, there's 3 methods of actually donating. You can actually send your donation over to PayPal, Venmo, and or CashApp. Now, if you're doing PayPal and or Venmo, you can donate by just going over to our screen name, @KimHoangMDActor. That's once again the @ KimHoangMDActor. On Cash App, it is the $ KimHoangMDActor. Once again, on Cash App, $KimHoangMDActor. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here is the main event of this podcast episode. Dun 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 dun. The Q&A form. That's right, ladies and gentlemen, the Q&A form. This is going to be a little bit different this time because we have 7 questions and a bonus question. As soon as I saw the paper and I saw that there was a bonus question, I was like, oh gosh, that's awesome. So guess what? You asked those questions and I will answer them truthfully and to the best of my ability. That being said, guys, I'm going to go ahead and jump into it. So let's go ahead and go for it. Question number 1, Kim, do you miss MySpace? Emily from Severna Park, Maryland. What up, Severna Park? Route 2, baby. I think that's Route 2 North, going to Severna Park from Annapolis, if I remember correctly, because Route 2 South, that's like Edgewater and, the southern, towns and so forth. Emily, yeah, I do miss MySpace a lot, dude. I think it was an incredible social media for what it was. You could customize it, and I felt like it was a lot more fun. By that I mean you can customize your background. You can go ahead and like add like a very extensive bio. You can even like insert like background music and whatnot, and it would have been cool. I think that MySpace, at least at that time, was a little bit more friendlier and less dramatic than Facebook, at least in my opinion. I'll even go as far as saying that there was another social media that was kind of cool before MySpace that was called Friendster, which I thought that was really cool. You know what I mean? So yes, I do miss MySpace. I wish they would have done something to kind of improve it, so that way, you know, it would have been still popular and would have still been usable. But, you know, I guess it's one of those things where that was then and this is now. So that's where we're at. Question number 2. Kim, what are your thoughts on the Kung Fu style of martial arts? Jorge from Elmira, New York. Jorge, I want to say that I think any Kung Fu martial art in general, you know, whether if it's like Wing Chun, if it's like Wushu, or if it's like, you know, Northern or Southern Shaolin style, or, you know, there's like a thing where it's called like, you know, like the grasshopper style, praying mantis style of Kung Fu, tiger style Kung Fu. I think it's incredible. I think it really has something to offer. It's a little different. And I just think, honestly, it's visually it's really cool. And honestly as well, it's not like the martial arts that I'm used to, like karate, you know, taekwondo or tong sudo or something like that. Because, you know, although it is very powerful, they say that Kung Fu styles are a little bit more fluid, you know, and that's why it's a little bit more of a softer style. But, I mean, I don't have any objections on it. I think that anybody that practices Kung Fu, I mean, that's awesome. I mean, I wouldn't personally practice it because that's my preference, but I have a lot of respect for it. And anybody that does any Kung Fu style, you know, totes, because, you know, that's still the brotherhood and the sisterhood of martial arts. It's incredible, and I think it's awesome. Question number 3. Kim, do you like the music of the starting line? Jane from Visalia, California. Jane, you best believe and better believe that I love, and I say it again, love the starting line. It's really funny. I was actually listening to the starting line, you know, probably in the beginning of the week, just because it just reminded me of like good times back in, you know, certain periods of my life. And I always liked their music. I always thought it was like a hard edge, kind of like a rock alternative music, but a cool little soft style with it. And anytime that I get a chance to see the starting line, if they're in the Washington, D.C., Maryland, and metropolitan area, I'm going to make it an effort to go see them because, you know, I just think they're that awesome. You know what I mean? So that's my opinion. You know, if you have not listened to the starting line, I really suggest that you should. And, you know, you might be surprised. You know what I mean? I think that you'll definitely have a cool moment where you're just like, you know, grooving to the beat, having a good time, you know, and just, you know, having a good moment, if you will. All right. That said, question number 4. Kim, what are your opinions on an inversion table? Lawrence from Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Okay. So we're over in, you know, visiting our brothers up north in Canada, over in Hamilton, Ontario style. What up? Lawrence, I think that an inversion table is pretty cool. I like the philosophy of it. Mainly because with an inversion table, at least from what I understand, now I'm no expert at this, so I can't really say, I know so much about inversion tables, but from what I understand, and I hope I'm getting this right, that the inversion tables are pretty solid. They say that it can help relieve the pressure gravity that is put on your spine. And it could help decompress your spine, increase the space between your vertebrae, reduce the pressure of your spinal nerves. And in addition, putting your legs above your heart may help realign your back and your legs. And I think it's cool. I think it's a cool device for anybody that wants to use it. My cons are that depending on which inversion table you get, it can be expensive. Like around what I've seen online, like $1,400. So that just tells me that's not, that's not cheap. You know what I mean? It definitely costs a pretty penny. Also, I think for certain people, inversion tables, it may not be great for people with heart conditions and high blood pressure and stuff like that. So, unless a medical doctor tells you it's okay for you to go ahead and use an inversion table, by all means, go for it. But if you have some underlying health conditions that, may prevent you from using one, then at that point, it's like, that's a no-go. So, better to be safe than sorry, you know what I mean? But if you can handle it, I think that an inversion table is pretty dope. Question number 5. How do you like the Apple AirPods? Any pros, any cons? Rosanna from Corpus Christi, Texas. Rosanna, I recently bought, the second generation of AirPods that was literally dirt cheap. It was like $89.99. I got it at a Micro Center, which is like a computer store that has not only PC but Apple products as well. So it's really awesome. And I'm truly convinced that it's a great device. I like it a lot because obviously when you wear it, you don't have to worry about like the wires, like the traditional, earbuds that Apple gave you for your iPhone device. So you're a little bit more free. The only things that I don't like about mine, I don't know about anybody else's, but I feel like, you charge it, but it only lasts but so long, like maybe about 4 hours or 5 hours or something like that. I mean, it's cool because, if you throw it back into the case, it automatically recharges and recycles. So that's great. But I don't like, at least on mine, the AirPods have a shorter lifespan when you use it. So it actually does not have a longer lasting battery life. I don't like the idea that, it possibly could pop out of your ear depending on what model you get and how it's secured in the ear. Because there's been a lot of people that lose an earbud, from their AirPod, and then they get mad because they spent a lot of money, like $89 or $100 and some odd dollars. And I'd be hot about it myself, to be honest with you. I'd really be ticked off. So, overall, if you're willing to understand the value of its convenience and know that there's a lot of responsibility behind it, I say go for it. Again, I do like it, and it's great. But there are, there's definitely some advantages, and there's some disadvantages. Hopefully that may help you to come up with a decision if you ever want to go ahead and buy, Apple AirPods, Rosanna. So there you go. Question number 6 comes from our buddy Jerry from Panama City, Florida. Is there one video game that you like so much that you can't stop playing it? Jerry, that's a good question, man. I'll answer it like this. If it's like today's standards of video games from the present, I've always been a fan of Mario Kart 8 Deluxe on the Nintendo Switch. I love, the racing game aspect of it, and it's pretty awesome. In my heyday, because I was born in the 70s, so I'm the kid of the 80s. But if I was like playing a game of the 80s, regular Pac-Man or Ms. Pac-Man, that was my jam. You know what I mean? Something about it, it's really, really cool. So, yeah, I mean, I love video games because it's, visually stimulating. It's fun. Some people that have anxiety and depression, or any type of mental health challenges, they find it to be fun because it's just, they're focusing on one thing and they're not focusing on anything else. So if that's a proper answer for you, there you go. Question number 7. Kim, what are you currently listening to on Apple Music / Spotify? Nicola from Hampton, Virginia. Oh, God. Nicola, that's a very good question. And I think that it was kind of indirectly answered, but I'll answer it again in this way because I didn't really answer this particular question. But going back to what I was talking about earlier about the starting line, on question number 3, I've been listening to a lot of the starting line recently. I've been listening to a lot of their music. I've been listening to a lot of their albums. Again, great band from the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area. And I love their music, man. I love their stuff. It's pretty dope. Again, I strongly suggest and recommend, if anybody likes music and they're very open-minded to it, I would definitely recommend the starting line. 100%. Without fail, I would recommend them. Just like that. All right. Now we have the bonus question. I didn't even think that we were going to make it this long. So, Amelia from Flagstaff, Arizona asks, Kim, this question is not about politics per se, but when you vote, what's your favorite method of voting? Do you like to vote on the day of the election, or do you like to vote absentee ballot? Amelia, I'm going to accept that question because you are right. It's not specifically talking about politics, in that way that I'm thinking. So you're going to get a pass on that question, and I'm okay with it. But I will say this. When it is election day and it is, time to go ahead and vote for the new leader of the United States of America, the new president, lately I have been liking the absentee ballot a little bit more. Mainly because, when I get the ballot at home. I can go ahead and I can just go ahead and vote from home and take my time. I know sometimes, depending on where you are, if you're voting on the day of the election and you're going to the polls, sometimes I feel like there's a little bit of a time limit, or I just feel like there's so many people that I just kind of feel kind of pressured, and I kind of want to have my time to really, look at the ballot, take a look at some stuff. If I need to go ahead and look up some information online, I can do that before I make my final vote without doing anything of that sort. Plus, I will say this. I mean, sometimes maybe I want to sit down on my desk, listen to some music, look up some information on the internet while drinking an adult beverage. I think that's the way to go. You know what I mean? Now, if anybody likes the traditional way by going to the polls and whatnot, that's fine too. I mean, that's your right. Whatever you feel comfortable with. I just like the convenience factor of the absentee ballot. But the thing about it, guys, is understand that once you get an absentee ballot, you do have time, but make sure that you vote correctly and you turn in your ballot as soon as possible. Whether if you're going to go ahead and mail it like I do. There's some that actually, I don't know if they still are doing it. You could actually drop everything over at the box. You know what I mean? So if you want to go ahead and drop your stuff at the box, the voting box, you can do so. And that's that. But that's it. Oh my God, that was a lot of questions. I'm not mad about it. It was fun. I definitely had a blast. And this episode has been really cool. The fact that I'm here, I'm spending it with you guys, and, we're just having fun is incredible. And I do appreciate it, and I love you guys for it. So let me go ahead and just do the following, ladies and gentlemen, because I know that we are running out of time. So let's just go ahead and do it. Guys, we are on social media. And you can follow us on the following. You can go over to Facebook and just follow us. You can go ahead and type in the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience under the search box and then just follow it and, like it. And, we appreciate that. You can also follow us on Instagram and on Twitter, now known as X. You can find us under our handle at TKHPC Experience, all in one word, all lowercase letters. That's once again at TKHPC Experience. Follow us and we'll follow you back. We are on 5 podcasting platforms. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, YouTube Music, and the brand new podcasting platform that is also an audiobook platform in Audible, which is powered by Amazon. And guys, if you want to try out Audible, you have a chance to have a free 7-day membership. So you can go ahead and sign up online at www.audible.com. Get a trial membership for 7 days. Check it out and see if you like it. And if you do, keep the membership and you pay a monthly fee of $15 a month. And that's not bad considering that you're getting audiobooks and podcasts in one platform. How awesome is that? Now, if you want to be a guest, if you want to be a guest host, if you want to ask a question on our Q&A forum, or if you want to give us any kind of constructive criticism, suggestions, and what have you, please email us at thekimhoangpodcastexperience at gmail.com. Whatever the subject is, go ahead and write in the subject, and in the body of the email, write down whatever it is that you need to write down. What if it's a question, or if it's a suggestion, or you want to go ahead and let us know that you want to be a guest or a guest host, let us know. Sign off on it and email it to us. We will read the email and we will respond back to you within like a day or two, because we do like emails and we do like our correspondence in that way. We love and respect that. Do us a favor, guys. If you actually Now, hold on. Before that, please like and subscribe to our podcast on all of those podcasting platforms. Now, this is the request that I give you. Please leave us a 5-star rating if you have Spotify and or Apple Podcast. Again, if you have like Spotify, give us a 5-star rating. We definitely would appreciate that. If you have Apple Podcast, please give us a 5-star rating and a positive written review, because the more times that you actually do that for each podcasting platform of Spotify and or Apple Podcast, then that gives us an increased chance that our podcast will go to the front of the lines over on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. And then somebody might say, oh my gosh, this is the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. This is what Catherine told me about. We should really give it a chance, and we should probably like it and subscribe to it. Yes, give it a chance. Like it. Subscribe to it. Tell all your friends. You know what I mean? Whether if you want to tell them via social media, like the Facebook, or Twitter, now known as X, if you want to tell them on Instagram, if you want to tell them on Snapchat, or even right now, I'm on TikTok. So you can go ahead and share it on TikTok and spread the word. And or you can actually spread the word in person, whether if it's to a family member, friends, colleagues at work, whatever. Because sharing is caring, and we do believe in that, and we love, that the fact that you guys create that awareness for the world to see and know. That being said, guys, we are running out of time. We do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Guys, please be safe out there and make the right decisions in life, because it doesn't do us any good if you actually make the wrong decisions in life, then unsafe decisions that may cause your dismemberment, and therefore you land inside of a pine box and get buried 6 feet under. We don't want that. Because we want the best for you in your life. We want you to be healthy and happy. In terms of, we want you to be healthy and happy, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. Because you deserve it. You deserve to be happy. And anybody that tells you different, you can tell them to go kiss your rear. And that's all I got to say. But guys, thank you so much for joining us on another episode of the Kim Hoang Podcast Experience. We do appreciate it. So for the one time, coming at you live from the Prototype Studio in Wheaton, Maryland, located in the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. This is your boy, Kim Hoang, the Asian Sensation. You know that I am the voice, and you know that I am the choice, and I am the host of this show. And I want to say thank you so much. God bless each and every one of y'all. We're going to do it again. And, please keep on supporting our podcast show and spread the word. Y'all, it's been real. I love y'all. Take care now. Peace.